how many of us like the word submit? It just kind of conjures up rebellion in my spirit, in my life. And as the youngest kid, it seems as if I was always kind of kicking at the norm or trying to carve my own way in life. So I didn't want to be like my brother. I didn't want to be like my sister in some ways. And even more, when people said, you need to do it like this, I would rebel. I really struggle with that. And it's still part of my nature, innate inside of me, to do things the other way. Maybe you're like me, and in part, you hold on to things, and it's hard to give people part of your heart or submit to them, this word, give them authority over you. And how does that reflect on your relationship with God? I think even the more, maybe not, you heard me share personally in some of my rebellious ways. I think as Americans, we're even the more like that than maybe other people's. We have the old saying, don't tread on me, don't tell me what to do. And so we come into this already saying, I'm going to think of myself first and to heck with other people. I mean, that's kind of where we go when we think about it. But boy, as Christians, is there another way to be? In James 4, we find that that's exactly what he's calling these new Christians that he's talking with. He wants them to be more submissive, think of themselves less. He says that you have given God your authority by being a Christian. And he says, come near to God and he will come near to you. Humble yourself in the sight of the Lord and he will lift you up. Pretty simple when it's spelled out like that. But man, to humble yourself or to submit to something or someone or even to God is difficult for us. James would say this is the very thing that causes fights and quarrels among you. Thinking of yourself too much. Well, that's simple and true. The idea that we want something and we don't get it. Sounds kind of childish. He would even call it that we can be an adulterous people. And when it's reflective on our relationship with God, sometimes we choose ourselves or other people over God. Maybe you look at God that way. I know I have, and continue to struggle with that. If I kind of make bargains with God. If I only had peace in my life, then I'll humble myself before you. If only my spouse would do this, or if only I had my finances taken care of, or if things were better in my life, then I will do these things, God. Boy, I think he says God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. That's a good word. And at the end of the chapter, James 4, he breaks it down to daily life, what we do every day. And again, shares it practical, only like James could. He says, while we're carrying on our work, our daily work, when we're thinking about the next day or in the near future, have you submitted your life to God? And that's a challenge to us. Have we done that? Maybe as we think about tomorrow or the next day, does God know what we're doing? Is he involved in it? He would say that we are just a mist that appears for a while and then vanishes. What is our life? And certainly as a Christian, if it's lived daily without submitting to God, what really is it? That's a challenge. So, folks, make the most of every day according to what God has for us to do. I see James as a pretty serious fellow, pretty intent guy. He wants to make the best use of his day. And he really wants to urge us to put God first in our lives, and then these things will take care of themselves. So our main takeaway today, as we wrap it up, is to learn to put God first and come to him humbly in all of our circumstances. I want to encourage you, if you haven't even done it today, but tomorrow and the days following, as you get up, God, just submit to God and say, God, whatever you have for me today, I want to make the best use of it today. Help me to love others and not think of myself so much. And then, God, whatever happens in my workplace or with people, help them to see that they are valued more than myself. Thanks, church. We'll kind of wrap it up in our next session with James chapter 5. Thanks for listening today.